This is The Minimum Commitment, film theory in small doses, where picket fences cast long shadows and the grass grows thick over buried secrets. I'm Don Lawler, film scholar, audio sleuth, and someone who knows that if you follow a severed ear deep enough into the grass, you'll end up face to face with something wicked. Let's get into it. Blue velvet starts in daylight and opens like a dream. Red roses, a white picket fence, deep blue sky. It's the America we're told to love. Clean, cheerful, and benign. But David Lynch's dreams don't provide comfort. They disturb. And they reveal. A man watering his lawn collapses in his yard. The victim of a stroke, his body stiffens and seizes. No warning, no build-up, just failure. The world doesn't blink. The picture-perfect lawn soaks in silence, but something underneath is catching its breath, tightening its grip. The camera sinks below the grass into the soil where beetles devour each other in endless hunger. What appears to be order is already in collapse. It just hasn't surfaced yet. This isn't the dream falling apart. It's the truth rising up. The dream was never real. It was staged. And the audience never asked, who built the set? There's a severed ear in the grass, and that's how we begin. Lynch builds the fictional town of Lumberton like a TV commercial. Cherry red fire trucks, school children, and friendly neighbors. But even this establishing footage feels too bright. The opening scene smiles at you, then opens its mouth to scream. Jeffrey Beaumont, played with eerie sincerity by Kyle MacLachlan, returns home, a blank protagonist from a different genre. He's a placeholder for decency, until he finds the severed ear. And once he does, the whole performance begins to glitch. The pleasant world doesn't crumble. It stays exactly the same. And that's the horror. Lynch doesn't tear down the American dream. He keeps it standing, despite the screams getting louder behind the walls. Jeffrey becomes a detective, not by training, but by desire. He's not solving a case, he's playing a role, one he learned from Saturday matinees and television cop shows. He spies on Dorothy Valens, played by Isabella Rossellini in a performance laced with bruised elegance and quiet torment. He hides in her closet like a thief. He watches her undress and tells himself it's detective work, maybe justice. But what he's really doing is stealing. Not just her privacy, her agency, her control, her sense of safety. He manipulates her suffering into his story, frames her pain through the crack of a closet door, and calls it curiosity. Before Frank Booth explodes on the scene, Jeffrey has already committed the first violation. He watched when he shouldn't have. The violence followed. Dennis Hopper's character, Frank Booth, crashes into the story like a deleted scene from a different film. He's hyper-violent, unhinged, and operatic. He isn't just a villain, he's a symptom. Frank doesn't shatter Jeffrey's illusions. He shows him the logic they were built on. control and consumption. The myth of the clean observer. There is no distance here. Jeffrey isn't uniquely outside the system. He has simply failed to realize he's part of it. By the time he meets Frank, the line between witness and participant has already blurred. Watching became wanting. Curiosity gave rise to need, and now there's no going back to innocence. Only forward into consequence. The stage lights bloom, and now consequence has a voice. Dorothy Valens sings in a nightclub haze, wrapped in blue velvet. Her voice hovers in the air like perfume, beautiful and mournful. But it's an illusion also. In the spotlight, she is elegance. But in private, she is bruised and trembling, not because she is weak, but because every man around her writes her story. She's not the femme fatale. She's the trauma. And Lynch never lets us look away. The film forces us to confront the way women are consumed. By story, by camera, by culture. Dorothy isn't just a character, she's a mirror, and what she reflects is hard to admit. Frank uses her. Jeffrey pities her, but she endures. And when she finally walks naked and bruised into the streetlight's glow, she turns the entire myth of feminine fragility inside out. Lynch doesn't protect her from horror. He builds the story around it. Dorothy's trauma isn't background noise or a plot device. It's the center. Lynch frames it, holds it, and ensures we sit with it. And then he turns the camera on us and makes us ask why we ever looked away. When we do look away, we end up staring at something easier, something prettier. Like Sandy, played with radiant precision by Laura Dern, Sandy represents Jeffrey's tether to the dream. A version of America still clean, soft-lit, and sincere. She's the girl next door, bathed in golden light, framed in windows and innocence. But even she can see the edges are wearing thin. She's not blind to the rot. She just refuses to let it be the end of the story. Maybe that's the saddest part. Dreams like that don't survive this world. They leave you holding the pieces and pretending it's enough. Let's take a look at a scene. Toward the end of the film, Jeffrey enters Dorothy's apartment and stops cold. A man in a yellow jacket, one of Frank's crooked cops, stands motionless. He's upright but hollow, blood trailing down his head like he's already left the world but forgot to fall. The police radio in his pocket sputters static and his body twitches, knocking over a lamp. Jeffrey creeps forward. In the center of this grotesque tableau is Dorothy's husband, Don. The ghost she's been mourning. His ear is missing. A swatch of blue velvet is stuffed into his mouth like some obscene signature. The television flickers with static. Nothing plays now. The performance is over. We cut to the police raiding Frank's hideout. A burst of righteous violence. But even this feels staged. Like a TV cop drama. The good guys and the bad guys in costume, swapping bullets like it'll make a difference. You've seen it before. Then back to the apartment. Back to the silence. And Frank appears. He's slipped through the net, escaped the raid, thrown on a disguise, but the voice gives him away.
Hey, neighbor. You shit for brains, man. You forgot to have a police radio.
That isn't a greeting. It's a verdict. A reminder that monsters don't always hide in shadows. Sometimes they walk right in. The confrontation between Jeffrey and Frank is sudden, blinding violence. Frank dies, but there's no triumph. No music swell, no moral restoration. Just a room full of corpses, and the quiet hum of something broken that won't turn off. This is what postmodernism understands all too well. That sometimes stories don't end. They just stop, and the silence afterward is where the real meaning lives. Postmodernism teaches us this: there is no truth beneath the surface, only more performance. Lynch doesn't just borrow from film noir, he dissects it. Blue Velvet wears the trench coat and shadows of classic noir, but the mood is more disturbed than stylish. Jeffrey Beaumont's curiosity curdles into obsession, and instead of solving a mystery, he becomes entangled in something primal and broken. That's the noir impulse twisted inward. Blue Velvet doesn't deconstruct suburbia. It allows it to keep functioning as image, as performance, as something we all agree to believe in. Nightmares quietly absorbed into the routine. Lynch doesn't burn it all down. He whispers, "Look closer." Blue Velvet doesn't ask if darkness exists in the world. It asks how long you've been pretending it doesn't. It reflects how easy it is to live with it, to mow the lawn and smile for the neighbors, while ignoring the screams just out of view. That's your thought for the day. Minimum commitment, maximum meaning. See you next time. The Minimum Commitment is produced, recorded, and edited by Don Lawler. Music by Samo.